let's go fishing, boating, and exploring with a family of vacationers. Sharon, Paul, Scott, and Vicky, who have trailed their boat some hundreds of miles to this, the fishing estate in the Union, sun-filled Florida. Takeoff point is Homosassa on the Gulf of Mexico, 50 miles above Tarpon Springs, where the experts tell you that fish will catch you if you don't catch them first. These Florida visitors are the first to admit they're no pros when it comes to fishing, but they sure make up in eagerness what they might lack in know-how. In Florida waters, you're quite apt to meet up with a Mercury-powered Conservation Department boat. These friendly officers are not out to harass boaters, but to protect them, offering advice, assistance, and counsel that can add a great deal to your fun and security afloat. An important part of a conservation officer's job is to check your boat for required safety gear as well as proper registration credentials. These men will help you with your navigation problems, too, pointing out areas to avoid because of shoals and reefs, and even help you find the best fishing spots. No conservation officer will actually board your boat unless invited, but they're welcome aboard today. Before leaving home, Paul completely equipped the family cruiser for safety, from a marine radio to a life jacket for every passenger. It makes for greater fun on the water because of greater safety. Everything's shipshape and the best of fishing to you. With some 1,200 miles of coastline and thousands of bays and inlets to patrol, these officers of the Florida State Conservation Department are great guys to have around. A fast MerCruiser stern drive, the latest word for inboard boating, powers this rugged offshore hull. It's the ideal little boat for big water. What a great thrill it is for a northern family to suddenly find itself on the blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico. They're deep water sailors now, so let's see what the Gulf has to offer in the way of action. The answer comes quickly. Something takes a liking to Vicky's fresh shrimp and tries to take off for the wild blue under. At almost the same moment, Scotty finds himself with a real rhubarb on his head. Score number 1 for Vicky. A beautiful sea bass. Boy, is Scott going to have something to tell his friends when he gets home. Maybe these upcountry tourists were amateurs to start with, but Florida can make them look like pros in a hurry. A sea bass for Scotty, too. And a whopper. Well, on the basis of the first catch, Vicky has to admit it's a man's world. A great thing about fishing in the Gulf is that it's so good you can take it or leave it. So, let's take a ski break. To borrow a word from Vicky and Scott, it's ski-rific. Sharon gets those tow lines over without a hitch. It's great to have a mother who knows her ropes. Now take up that slack and hit it. Water skiing has grown to become one of the world's most popular sports, and you don't have to be a teenager to enjoy it either. Here's a sport for everyone from 6 to 60, or maybe a little older if you've eaten your spinach. A power horn is mighty handy for communications on the water. It's getting past lunchtime, kids, so come and get it. The white sandy beaches of the Gulf Coast offer, literally, a million secluded spots for a picnic lunch. Oh, sure, you can join the crowds on the mainland beaches if you're a joiner, but a boat and motor rig like this makes you independent. The marine radio keeps you in touch with the weatherman, just in case. There's nothing like a private family picnic aboard a private family boat to bring a family close to each other and store up Technicolor memories that will remain sharp, clear, and brilliant for a whole lifetime. Fun time cruising like this is a living testimonial to the ever-increasing popularity of family boating. A boat motor trailer rig can be bought for the price of a couple of shoreside vacations, as millions know who have discovered the new open road of the open water. Southward past St. Petersburg, Sarasota, Boca Grande, through the intercoastal waterways of Naples, to one of the fishinest spots in the fishinest state, Big Marco Pass. At Marco, Ford Lawless and Dick Fisher, a couple of college boys, are sneaking up on Snook, one of the hardest fighting and best eaten fish that ever swam down the pass. These sporty rascals are caught in abundance in the spring and early summer, and there's another run in the fall. Some of them tip the scales at 35 pounds, but the average catch comes in between 3 and 10, with flaky, tender meat that just melts in your mouth. They run in schools, and where there's one, you'll find more and more and more. All the passes or inlets from the Gulf are snook spots at the change of the tide. Smaller snook will hit almost anything, shrimp, shiners, or feathers. But the big fellows seem to prefer small pinfish that you can snag off the bottom almost anywhere. There'll be a fish fry tonight to end all fish fries. So goes the snook and hook situation in the passes. We wouldn't want to be accused of misrepresentation, though. You don't actually get one on every cast. With Ford and Dick joining the fun, the compass points eastward through the 10,000 islands, past Shark River, Key Largo, to that enchanted city on Florida's Gold Coast, Miami. From Indian Creek, Miami Beach's famous Hotel Row rises in the background, with houseboats shadowed by the fabulous Fontainebleau Hotel. Dwarfing the small boats in the harbor is the Bahama Star, one of the many Caribbean cruise ships that embark from Miami. Actually, you can see a lot more of Miami by boat than by car. Northward up the Atlantic coast, you can see something else by boat, and get a lot closer than you'll ever get by car without a special pass. This is world-famous Cape Kennedy, home of the astronauts and moon shooters. A spectacular sight is this big radar picket ship called the Observation Island, vital home base of our worldwide missile tracking system. There's a Polaris submarine on hand, too. With fighting ships like these patrolling our shoreline and military installations, defying the imagination of Dr. Seuss, Cape Kennedy is truly one of the scientific wonders of this incredible space age. Here, too, you're apt to be visited by a courteous Florida Conservation Patrol officer who will tell you just where and where not to take your boat along the Cape. He'll supply you with a special booklet listing the do's and don'ts around the Cape. He'll also give you a few tips on fishing. After all, what are a few things like Miami and Cape Kennedy compared to a tackle buster trying to shake a lure? Another strike, and Dad goes into action. Stand by with the net, Sharon. This fish means business and gives that rod a real workout. Maybe it'll be a big trophy for the game room. Easy now. Swim him in. With the kids ashore for sightseeing, Paul and Sharon stick to their guns, or rather fishing rods. Uh-oh. It's a vicious bull shark that even the pros hate to hook into. What a scrap. No expert will ever bring a live fighting shark into a small boat. Paul and Sharon are amateurs. They have to learn through experience. A gaff takes most of the fight out of him, though, and he'll be a lot happier down there in the briny deep than in the cockpit of a small boat. And so will Sharon and Paul. With Cape Kennedy behind them, Titusville, Daytona Beach, Marineland, and St. Augustine are the next ports of call on this Florida Fishcapade. Here comes another shark, this time landed by Dick, one of our college friends. Since Dick hails from the down east port of Boston, he recognizes something special in this small specimen with the big teeth, a species that would be welcomed by famed Marineland. So Dick keeps him in a live well and turns him over to Captain Ronnie Capot and First Mate Joe LeBlanc aboard the specimen-hunting Porpoise III. Ronnie and Joe are sort of Frank Bucks of the sea. They bring them back alive for the enjoyment of thousands of tourists who visit Marineland. With our family boat headed for St. Augustine in the wake of the Porpoise III, Ford and Dick lag behind to mix it up with a school of Amberjack. An Amberjack is no second-rater when it comes to a showdown. He can take off like a streak of lightning and toast your thumb like an English muffin. Ford has the blisters to prove it. You just don't horse these babies in. You give and take every inch of the way. There's a whole school of them around the fish on that hook, probably wondering what the commotion is all about. Besides, there may be a free meal around. Pump and reel, pump and reel. It's an old, old story to deep-sea fishermen. That jack has gone all the way down to Davy Jones' locker. He's headed under the boat. Keep him clear of that prop. He's a pretty tired fish, but he's not through yet. He sinks the gaff and the battle is over. Now here is a real trophy fish, 50 pounds of Amberjack, enough to win the tourist division of the St. Augustine Fishing Concours 4. Sure lives up to his name and the fishing tradition of Boston. He's hooked into a 35-pound cobia, another gamester that gives no quarter until the final bell. You have to see it to believe it, and marvel at these thrill-packed Florida fishing waters. Ford with his 50 pounds of Amberjack. Boy, that's a lot of jack. And Dick with his 35, a total of 85 pounds of big ones that didn't get away. It's quite appropriate escapade wind up at Florida's Marineland, living proof on display to back up Florida's claim to being the fishingest state in the Union. Goodbye, kids. We'll be seeing you.